Oh my gosh, it's kind of like a window on
Steroids.
steroids,
Yeah.
right? It's so European and so French in so many ways. Incredibly great shape for a boat that's 45 years old. I feel like I'm in a French country house. Hi there, this is Captain Q. Join us as we travel hither and yon to show you some great deals on some really interesting boats and maybe learn just a little bit with each one.
Captain,
Yeah, Randy, I'm up here in the cockpit. Where are you?
I'm just down here.
You're down where? Where are you? Oh my God, hold it. What are you, a bridesmaid? What's with the veil? You know what? You can take that board out right there and look. You could walk right up here and steer the boat.
Okay, let me come up on deck and I'll join you.
Okay, come on up on deck. We're sitting aboard a Chassiron Tour du Monde 45 here at the Kingman Yachting Center in Katumet, Massachusetts, which is out on the Cape. I have to tell you that our number 3 most popular viewed episode had to do with a Vindo 50, which is a 35-foot Scandinavian-built vessel, gorgeous, and the channel just lit up with people looking at it. And then we saw this boat, which is not Scandinavian, rather she's French, and we said, oh my gosh, it's kind of like a Vindo on
Steroids.
steroids,
Yeah.
right? This boat is not brand new. She was built in 1976, and that is how many years ago?
That's about 45.
Now, she's a fiberglass hull, and all of her deck work and her cabin structure and everything like that is all wood. This boat was built in France at the Chantier Richard boat yard. That yard was started up in 1950 by a man named Monsieur E. Richard. He wanted to get into boat building, so he started building wooden boats. They did transition from wood to fiberglass in the mid-70s. He incorporated a designer by the name of Michel Joubert. He joined the French Merchant Marine for a brief period of time and learned a lot of engineering skills and design work while he was there. Michel went to the Olympics, I believe, or trained for them anyway, in a soling, which was an internationally accepted class as of 1970. While involved with Chantier Richard, Michel developed a series of designs for Chassiron that this boat is one of. It's so European and so French in so many ways. Her decks and her cabin top and all the wood structure is really incredibly great shape for a boat that's 45 years old. This is an interesting boat because the owner is living aboard it. She's actually been living on this boat for 20 years.
Wow.
20 years.
Tell me about the cockpit.
It's a very nice cockpit. One thing that's nice about it is that we actually have 2 companionways. Now this after companionway,
That is like the Vinda.
it is, except if you remember the Vinda, once we crawled into that after
Yeah.
companionway, we had to call the rescue team to get the captain out, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was a little too tight. It's a very large, very wide forward companionway here. And this companionway is protected by a bridge deck. Here's our good old bridge deck. There's no hatches on this side. You know why?
Probably a companionway of some kind.
Yeah, there is. There's a companionway, and there's also a single berth. There's port lights down here in underneath all these seats. So you've got light tunneling below decks down here, and there's one right back here as well, right in front of the wheel.
Nice deep pocket shelving in here.
Oh yeah, there's a fold-out piece here. I'm not certain how this. There we go. Look at that. And there's another there, and a third one here, and they've got a nice big built-in fiddle to them, so whatever's in there is not going to fall out. A little window here. That's really cute. That goes to the after stateroom. Nice big 2-speed variant winch. And I like the sound of that. Can you hear that nice easy click? Randy, you're standing right in front of the wheel, and it has a elk-covered wheel on the outside of this. We have a nice Danforth compass. What do we have here?
Single drive.
Single mechanism to gear the boat up and to put it, make it go faster.
Do we have radar on the boat?
There is radar on the boat.
Okay.
We have radar on the boat. I'm not certain whether, we've got the Simrad right here.
There you go.
Located in the forward part of the bulkhead. You're going to find out what's ahead of you right here. And there's a little place here to hold probably a remote gizmo.
Technical term.
I know, you're spotting that locker there. And obviously it's very dry, isn't it? Now this has a little channel right here to drain the water out. Also, we're looking down at the top of the icebox down there,
Oh, that's handy.
which is just kind of interesting that it's right there. It's an interesting unit. What's that?
Catch rig.
Catch rig, exactly, because look at this. You roll out the jib and you want to control the, balance the jib out with another sail. Why put up the big main on a day like this today? We wouldn't do it. We put up the mizzen. Another little thought about the mizzen too, when you get to leave, you're leaving your mooring and you're on a ketch or a yawl, rule number one, always set the last sail on board first. So you set the mizzen or the yawl mizzen up first, and that helps keep the boat into the weather, and that makes it easier to haul up your general forward. If you haul up the general forward, the bow is going to blow off one way or the other, and you won't be able to get the mizzen up very well. Well, I like looking at these decks though, aren't they pretty?
Gorgeous.
It's a little unusual because this is a Sea-Tall product, and I asked the owner, I said, well, this is interesting, did you just do this? And she said, no, it's been that way for years, it came that way. This is the original deck, 45 years later. Now look a little bit further aft there, you'll see a couple of bung holes there. If those are original, they are fantastic.
What do you think about slipperiness? Because it seems a little more slick than...
You're absolutely right, it does feel a little more slick. I think a good pair of topsiders might keep you on board. And we also have a nice high bulwark, don't we? That's a good 6 inches maybe. There's a big gate. This is bigger than usual, and that doesn't seem like much, but when you want to bring something big aboard.
Same with the companionway too, right?
And the companionway as well. That's nice to have that size. If you ever had an engine problem of any sort, you can pick this cockpit grating right up and pull the engine right out of here. Okay, so here we are back on the fantail. What do we have? We got a nice solar array back here. We got a wind generator up here it looks like this whole boat's going to take off. It's cranking out watts right now. It's got a nice high stern light here that will show over the davits, and the dinghy's going to sit down below that stern light. So that's something you want to think about. Now we've got these lockers that are very nice. Look how neat and tidy this is. And a nice waterway down here. And here's the drain for the waterway right here. What else I like right here too is the traveler back here. Everybody always thinks about travelers for your mainsail, but the same thing works with your mizzen sail, and this allows you to trim it properly and to get the best set for the sail.
What do we have here?
This is a giant cleat, and you can wrap all sorts of line around that. We've got some nice tall push pit here, and the lifelines are also a little over average height. Looks like they've gone to the Dyneeming lifelines. This is this new material. It's apparently really bulletproof, and people like it for lifelines right now. And there's a special trick for splicing it. Not that difficult, actually easier to splice than the braided lines. We'll go forward here on the starboard side.
That's beautiful.
Yep. Here we are midships. And with the mizzen shrouds, it's a little tricky with the dodger up and everything to move up to this point. You can walk outside the upper shrouds, and that's very nice, as opposed to trying to go inside of them. We have a set of, people call these sissy bars, but if you're up here working in a seaway, you're not a sissy. So you'll sit right here, and you'll haul the sail up, you put it around the winch, crank the winch in, tie it off down here, drop the winch handle down in the little pocket right here. A really nice looking fabrication for the boom, multi-section, and a very heavy duty rig here to catch the reefing point up at the tack of the main. We've seen steps on spars before, right?
Yep.
A lot of times they would put a strut like this to give extra support here, but it's still supporting it, but you can put your foot in here and your foot's not going to slide off. And these are all put on with pop rivets, which is interesting. You can go right up this mast. The double spreader rig up there, it's quite a ways up. It's a good tall rig. And if you look at the mizzen behind us, she's equally well equipped. And you see the little pointy things on top of the spreaders?
Yeah.
You know what those are for?
Birds. These birds over here.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, look at all those birds on the rocks over there. Nice Bomar style hatch, and they put in a solar paneled wind vent here just for added ventilation in case it's raining and they want to keep the hatch shut. European boats are built for the North Sea, the English Channel, all of which are heavy wind areas. And so they've got to be heavy built boats. Look at the bow on here. Look at the bulwarks up here, how they're designed. They're nice and high, and they're going to protect anybody working up here, and they're going to give just that much more height to the bow of the boat as it cuts through the waves. They've got 2 CQRs up here on the bow, and those must be, oh, that looks like 75 pounds and maybe 50 pounds on this side. There's a manual windlass, and the chain falls right down into the locker, and here's the rope section here, and you'll just pump it with a handle, be right down in here. Also up here, look, there's another nice locker. I love these little latches for your rope line. Look at the cabin lines and everything. Look at the color. Look, this is such a warm and inviting boat. We happen to know that there's an S-bar diesel heater here, so there's the vent for it. That's the chimney, and that will dry out the whole boat.
Also known as Charlie Noble?
Well, yes, you could call that a Charlie Noble, exactly. While you're there, look at this really heavy, well-built traveler for the main. And notice the main boom length. It's not a really long boom, and for some reason it doesn't seem that big. So it's okay to have the mid-boom sheeting angle on here without causing any issue. I personally always like the sheeting coming right to the end of the boom, just because you can handle it right in the cockpit. But this line goes back there, and you're going to be handling it in the cockpit anyway. I think we should go down and get out of this wind.
I think so too, yeah.
Randy.
Yeah.
Are you coming below?
Sure. All right. Oh yeah.
Is this wonderful or what?
Yeah, this is like a bigger Vinda.
First of all, I feel like I'm in a French country house, don't you? With the
yeah.
I mean, there's some of the cushions and the owner's decor, handrails all over the place. We like that, and look at the deck beams on the overhead here. The addition of this big mirror, that adds another whole aspect to the boat, because it actually enlarges this cabin a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you're sort of seeing more than just this flat surface. Now there's also something I like down here too, and I spoke to the owner about this, and it has to do with these 2 cutouts on either side. And I think if I owned this boat, I would create a solid wall to put in there, maybe out of an opaque glass, so that I would be able, and even a doorway here. And you know something? They beat me to it. Somebody's had a doorway here.
There used to be, yeah.
Now there is a gas heater on board, diesel heater rather, and that's going to cook the whole boat. We have a nice big table, and you know what? This table is probably never going to drop down. Not with all these drawers down here underneath it. No name here. Just found this little locker, and you know what the French like? They like their wines, don't they? There's a nice bottle of something here. What is that? I can't read it.
Scotch whiskey.
Oh, Scotch whiskey, and here's another bottle of something. What's this?
Oh, extra dry.
Oh, extra dry. We got a little liquor locker over there. Lots of little lockers all over the boat to store stuff. Tons of storage. Look at the woodwork in here. There's one opening hatch here and one on the other side for cross ventilation. Actually 3 on the starboard side. 2 over the galley where you really need extra air coming in. Going forward, this is a really airy, pleasant, I'm gonna bet this is probably the owner's main sleeping quarters, because the owner's gonna have all this big hatch overhead, 2 side port lights, there's a couple of reading lamps in here, lots of random storage. Look at the cabin sole. It's a teak and holly scenario, and it's really in fabulous shape. There are 2 heads on the boat, so they've got a complete shower set up here and sink. I like the clear glass behind the sliders there. If you want to find your hand cream, look right in there and say, oh, there it is. In the meantime, it's not going to bounce around. The bench over the hopper is very nice. Why is that? Because you can have a shower sitting down in there and not soak up the hopper and everything. And this is a vacuum flush head on here. Okay, we're now in the forward head, Randy and I both, and we're just checking the hanging locker. And then there's a rope locker there too, for storage of extra lines. And I like the 2-tone, look at the insert in the door is a different wood. It's a lighter wood. It's set off against the mahogany in here. Let's see what we got here for a boat. First of all, here is a deck section. Look at that. And that is almost, that's a little over, about 3/4 of an inch thick, I think right there, maybe close to an inch. And here's the fiberglass, and that's all teak deck. That's what we see, all staying covered with sea towel up on deck, just like this piece right here.
Yeah.
You see?
Pretty neat.
And you can see the thiacol. This black stuff is called thiacol. And that's the rubber that seals up the joints between each one of these pieces of wood.
And then what's the white layer underneath that?
That's fiberglass.
Okay, and then?
And then there's a layer of plywood. That's a plywood layer that was first put on probably, and then the fiberglass on top of that. Let's take a look at this hull plug. This was, I don't know, they probably installed a depth sounder, but this is the thickness of the hull, and that's probably about 3/4 of an inch. I don't think there's any balsa. I think that's all solid glass and resin. So it's a substantially built boat. Let's come back here to some more important places. So we have the galley, feed the crew. And look at this, I'm gonna do this, this is kind of fun. Watch, I turned on the water and the water comes out. All of our boats have always got pink stuff coming out, right?
Yeah.
Because they've been winterized. Oh, that's nice, that's a little, I'll bet you that one has a filter underneath it. We have our old favorite ubiquitous storage area here, not for pots and pans, but for food. The French and so forth really know how to eat. I mean, they just have the finest kind foods all the time. Look at this little place dry place for your Glad wrap, some Kleenex, whatever, gallon freezer bags. What a neat little storage spot that is. We have a series of drawers down here for the serviceware. We've got storage under the sink. This is, again, kind of like home. And we have a Force 10 2-burner stove with oven. And that hasn't been cooked in just recently because it's storage area right now. All the accoutrement for good dining, your various oils and vinegars and I don't know what that, coconut oil. This is the refrigerator. Can you say how you open that?
No. Mental telepathy?
No. You have to look carefully. Why would that spatula be wedged into this little piece here? I said to myself, and sure enough, it picks the top of the icebox right up. And I'm going to come over to a real world traveling chart table. Wow! Oh, look at this. Look at the size of these things. I mean, just everything is all laid out beautifully. I like seeing the big NOAA charts, not just chart books. I'm not going to touch any of these circuit breakers here because this boat is live. Here's a newer accessory panel for the radar unit and the chart plotter on here. Chart plotter is right beside me. Here's the Garmin chart plotter. We've got our VHF right down here. Look up underneath this section here. This is just a nice detail. Here's the wood deck we saw in that plug, right? That's it. That's the wood. You said, what is that wood on the bottom?
Yep.
The plywood. That's it right there. So let me just take a look here.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. That's a Cummins diesel. And Cummins diesels have been around for many years. They're accepted worldwide. This has about 3,800 hours on it. You know, Cummins diesels tend to run for around 10,000 hours.
And then what do you do? Do a rebuild?
Yeah, maybe, or buy a new boat. But actually, Cummins diesel, my father used to sell them about 50, 70 years ago. There's a special Randay locker. His Raycor filter.
Oh, and it's even got a little catch-all, too.
Yeah, and look how clean that bilge is down there. Why you got your nose down there? Do you notice how good this boat smells? The only thing I smell in this boat is some spice from the rack behind me.
No, and maybe a little wood.
It's really wonderful. This is probably a water tank underneath us right now, but I like how these hatches all come right up. Now, we've been through some tunnels before, and this boat's got a tunnel, like a lot of boats back then. They hadn't quite figured out how to give full headroom, and it wasn't that important.
I think kids would love this little bunk.
Oh, are you kidding me? They would never come out of here. There's a nice berth there. I think the heater might be actually underneath that berth. And look at all these little lockers up here. Here I am in a queen-size berth.
You did get the pillows, according to your contract.
That's not a pillow.
Isn't it?
It looks like a pillow, but it's not. And that's just I'm never
It's
going
a
to get a pillow.
pillow-like substance.
It's swell being back here. This big hatch is going to open up, and I can walk right out to the wheel. Now, Randy, I want you to see the rest of the engine room while you're back here in the master cabin. There's a new Aqualift muffler. That's a recent rebuild. There's a couple of mechanical things that have been rebuilt. But as you can see from this, everything is in perfect shape. Look at the wiring. Look at the bills down there. And do you see the shaft?
I do.
Does that look pretty nice down there? Last thing here, Randy, while you're back here, is the head. And it's a nice size head. There is a shower head here. but so you could shower here, but basically they've taken out the water closet and they've made it storage area there. And
If you bought this boat, would you put the second head back in?
I think I would. You know why?
Why?
Because you always want one head that's going to work. Okay, Randy, we've been to Cape Cod one time already this year, and this is the second boat we've been able to see on Cape Cod, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Why did we pick this boat to look at?
We love the Vinda, and this is kind of like the Vinda on steroids.
The Vindo 40?
Yeah, 50.
The Vindo 50.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And we saw this boat and said, it's a big Vindo. Now we've had a chance to see this boat, which was built in France, not in Scandinavia. I gotta say, we were blown away, weren't we?
It was spectacular.
What did you like most about it? What caught your eye the most?
Oh, I think that cabin top just covered in wood, gleaming.
The teak and the...
Oh, yeah.
And the thing I liked the most was going below. I felt like I was going into a little French house. The boat is lived on by a woman who has been living on the boat for 20 years. She sailed it up to Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and St. Pierre. It's a really neat, special boat. It's not the run-of-the-mill plastic fantastic that we see coming out of so many American production boats. Because of float, it gets 10.
There we go. We'll start with D's.
We like 10?
Yeah.
And 5 pour le condition.
Okay.
Pour le désigner une autre 6.
Oh. 21.
21.
Wow.
And for those that don't know what 21 is, stay tuned. It is so ready to Tour du Monde, and I think the owner would even leave her spices on board.
Oh, yeah.
Did we leave anything on board ourselves?
Yeah.
They'll have a little surprise. It's good emergency rations for the Tour du Monde.
All right.
If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified when the next one comes out, please hit the alert bell. And that's not desperate at all. We're having too good a time doing these things, so you can hit the bell or not. Randy, how would I ever find out what's coming up next?
You can follow us on Instagram here,
Yeah.
or Facebook here. We'll have little previews of what's coming up on our next episodes a little bit early.
That's pretty cool. Previews. You all join me. I'm going to Instagram right now, and I'm going to find out what's coming up next week. Thank you very much.
You know, Instagram's not a place.